Kunkka is the highest win rate and pick rate hero of the patch by a big margin. This hero is honestly broken for many reasons, and you might be thinking, why would I ever pick this hero as a support, Bowie? If you don't pick this hero in the first phase, someone will for sure pick it in the second phase, right? If you know they're normal people. And there's two options in that scenario. Your offlaner wants Kunkka and he gets banned, or he doesn't want Kunkka and the enemy grabs it. Both scenarios suck. Picking this hero in the first phase, you're guaranteeing the best hero of the patch on your side, and provided you follow this guide, you're still gonna perform really well with it because the hero has a 65% win rate as a support right now. But you can also give it away to your offlaner if he wants it and get the luxury to pick your support in the second phase after seeing heroes, which always feels great if you have a brain anyways. It's the best of both worlds, so follow me. Another very cool and unique thing Kunkka can do as a support is contesting the water rune without having to go mid. On the dire side, you can pick up this water rune even without boots, while your mid picks up the other one. This can upset how the mid lane ends up looking like. Even though both Puck and Void Spirit were dead even in gold at 2 minutes, in only 3 minutes of this play, the advantage became massive because of one water rune snatch that also did not affect how the offlane went since it's so fast to do this. The laning stage of this hero is probably the hardest part about him because he's not a straightforward support for most people. The hero's melee, his solo kill potential is pretty much zero, and at the same time, he's not the best laner either. The first big thing you need to keep in mind when playing Kunkka is to use the fog to the best of your ability. Fog is really good at allowing you to land torrents, since just like a Pudge or Morana, the spell is very easy to telegraph when the enemy heroes have vision of you. X marks the spot should not be used in lane to land a torrent unless you're 100% sure that it's going to be a kill, since it costs half a torrent worth of mana, and that is by far your weakest point in the laning stage. Using either your ally stuns to set up your torrent or the fog to bypass vision is one of the cornerstones to get Kunkka past the laning stage, which is the stinky part of playing him as a support. The use of fog cannot be underestimated. Missing torrent makes any fight in the lane actually unwinnable, but when you can land it without using X, oftentimes it allows you to kill 2 heroes since that spell gets to be used at the end of the engagement like here, and even if you don't have torrent to chain it up, it is a lot of time that you can be hitting someone without them running away. Another important thing when playing this hero, especially against ranged supports, is using fog to get right clicks you will never be able to get if you ran at them. Usually, if you run at them, you will get a very small amount of right clicks. There's obviously some cool things you can try to do to increase that, like body blocking as you hit, or body blocking for an ally to hit, but if there are stuns in the lane, or if the supports are faster than you, this is not necessarily super useful. A good way to get decent damage done in the lane, especially in the first levels, is hiding in a place the support needs to go through while you wait for the perfect time to strike. As a Kunkka, you shouldn't be showing in lane anyway, so this is a fine position. Not only you get the luxury of maybe getting some hits off, but you're still in position to cast torrent and help your lane partner aggressively or defensively. Because this hero is way better at isolating targets and killing someone alongside his lane partner, blocking the small camp is imperative when you're playing Kunkka 4. This hero has no escape and doesn't really trade that well against most supports, which is why blocking the small camp with your body and or a sentry is crucial. We can see Ponlo pretty much never missing a single block and buying countless sentries to make sure that pulls are never going to be a problem. And he does this throughout multiple games, so that's really something you can do every game, just don't forget about it. We talked about this a little bit earlier. When you're playing this hero, especially before you get earned charges or when you're trying to kill someone that seems hard, always try to land your torrent independently of X marks the spot. This Puck gank is a good showing of how X is not only a setup for torrent, but a disable in itself, since it allows you to hit people through it and buy time for other disables to come off cooldown as well. This hero before the mid game needs to play with other heroes to get kills. Kunkka is a very good roamer that lacks damage and offers a lot of control and reach. Ponlo rarely stays in the lane, rarely CS creeps, and the things that matter for him until the 10-minute mark are stacking the triangle and other camps. This obviously matters more in games where you have someone that can clear them, which in this game is Puck and Bristleback. People kind of obsess about stacking with torrent, like the old trick that you just lift the creeps through the Z-axis, but don't worry about that. Just throw torrent 2.5 seconds before you would hit that camp and hit another camp, and you get yourself an easy double stack. So yeah, we were talking about things that are important before the 10-minute mark. In games, stacking might not be as useful. Contesting runes is another big thing this hero can do. He has enough reach in lockdown to steal enemy runes, and in certain matchups, this could be huge. We saw the water rune thing, but you can just walk up to the runes and either secure or deny that from enemies that use runes well. Spirit heroes, Puck, and Quap, just to name a few. Ganking is probably one of the best things this hero can do. His reach makes it quite easy, especially if you already finish your urn for that extra burst of damage that your hero clearly lacks before Shard and Aghanim Scepter. One important tip when you're ganking with this hero is that you should always try to use X marks the spot entire duration. Waiting for the end to cast Torrent gives your team more time to get on top of the heroes, maximizing the damage they're going to be able to dish throughout the Torrent disable time. Also, remember about trying to cast Torrent independently of X when you can, especially if you have Fog on your side, which makes it easier to land the spell. Now about Lotuses and Bounties. If you're playing on the Dire side, picking the Bounty makes sense because of the relative distance to the lane, especially if your offlaner can get the Lotus by himself. On the Radiant side, it takes way too long to pick the bounty, and you should just double down for the Lotus with your offlaner. Especially because, on the Dire side, you can beautifully tie the block to the small camp, which is already very close to the bounty location. It's just a very smooth and natural movement. That said, you can always go for the Lotus with your offlaner first and get the bounty later. There's definitely more value to the Lotus if your offlaner won't be able to pick it up, so don't stress about it. It's just an efficiency thing. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of the game. One of the strongest aspects about this hero in the mid-game is breaking smokes with X marks the spot. Once you get the X move speed talent as well as Tranquil Boots, you're running at 500 move speed with the spell on, which gives you the ability to cover huge distances sort of safely to break smokes and scout areas. In this game, watch how Ponlo expects the enemy to smoke top, and rather than using X to, let's say, clear the wave, he uses it to go way deeper, not once but twice, just to make sure the enemy is not there. Once they pop bottom, he can just respond with a TP and take the fight, but try to use this in your games to scout areas. There's a lot of things you can do with this. In this replay, we can also see a very similar move where he expects the enemy team to smoke, maybe wrap around, and he jumps the base just to see if he can find them. One of the many benefits of Kunkka is he can enable your team with X marks the spot. Sending people to base so they can be ready to fight is just the tip of the iceberg. Against the likes of Batriders, Pudges, and other displacement heroes, you can use X to protect the hero that is sieging, and you can also reset yourself and everyone else to be able to get more lanes out of a fight than you would usually be able to with any other hero. Decent players will buy U-Scepter against you, and so in the late game, Ponlo rarely tries to hit his combo normally if he knows the enemy has the Scepter. Instead, what he does is wait the U-Scepter to land the Torrent afterwards. It's a much safer way to make sure you're still going to be impactful in fights. In this particular case, because he knows the Phoenix can TP, he doesn't even use Torrent once the U-Scepter gets used, just so he can cancel the TP and also buy time for more allies to come here. In the past, Kunkka used to be hard countered by BKBs, but that couldn't be further from the truth ever since the magic immune changes. In teamfights, using X marks the spot in BKB targets that are about to lose the buff is one of the most impactful things you can do. The duration of X is big enough that oftentimes BKB isn't good enough to deal with it, and even if it is, you're still committing BKB for a 10-second cooldown spell. Finally, let's go over a very quick build summary for this hero. Skill build wise, it's very simple. You're gonna start with Torrent, X, and Torrent, but at level 7, you're gonna have 4 points of X. Then you're gonna max Torrent, you're gonna get the move speed talent at level 10, and that's it. For the remaining talents, it's the same build for core Kunkka. Item build wise, it's also very simple. First, ask yourself if there's an Urn hero in your team. If there is one, ask if you can go Urn. Don't assume he will get it, fight for it, because this item really is the backbone of this hero and this build. If they really want to go Urn, then your starting item build looks something like this, and just get boots into 1, drums, shard and blink. You can upgrade this to boots of bearing eventually. In case you can go Urn, this is how your build should look like. You're gonna get Urn as your first item before boots, unless you really need boots to survive in the lane. Heroes like Clock, Ursa, Jug are examples of matchups you could be forced into boots first. And after that, your build is Vessel into Shard, into Tranquil Boots, and then either Blink, U-Scepter, or Eggs. And that's about it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the build. If you lose a couple of games, tell your team Bowie sent you. It's okay. Just try it out. Have some fun. The patch is gonna be over anyways. By the way, guys, if you want to win a handmade keyboard made with love by me and some friends, just like Ponlo is winning Kunkka games, make sure you check my Patreon for the promotion that is going on until we reach 150k subs here on YouTube. It really helps me to create the best content possible for you guys. And that's it.